Good evening, everyone. Welcome to class number 26 of Advanced Course in Drones for Development. We are almost towards the end, but we have interesting topics lined up even for this last week of ours. So today we will be talking about urban development. And to talk about that, I have my friend from all the way from Panama, Dania. And Dania has an amazing experience in not just drones, but even shipping, because Panama is a country which has a lot of ports. So she specializes in shipping, and I think she's a marine engineer, if I'm not wrong. So she'll tell you more about her stories. But she's doing an amazing work in Panama. She's in charge of Panama Flying Labs. So we meet often during our retreats, but this is a way that we are trying to connect and bring the best of knowledge to you. So thank you very much. And I met her first time in New York, amazed with her work and her experiences. So today I decided to call her for this particular session. So Dania, the class is yours.
Thanks a lot. This is a wonderful and amazing opportunity Ruchi gave me. She's a wonderful person. I met her, as she told previously, at New York. Sorry, this is the first I have to tell. Sorry for my English, as my native language is the Spanish, and I hope you can understand me. Thanks a lot. I'm really, really excited to have the opportunity to talk a little with you about the projects we have been working on. I will share my screen right now. Okay. This is class number 26, as I understand, and I was invited to talk with you about urban planning, and I will talk about the project we started in 2018. As Ruchi told you previously, my name is Dania Montenegro. I'm the project manager at Flying Labs Panama. We started this journey in the 2018, and I have a wonderful team of young persons, very enthusiastic in generating social impact through the drones, and not just the drones, but other equipments that are remote control. Okay, so let's start. We are going to talk about urban planning, and I want to explain to you what we did with a very interesting project in alliance with Autoridad de Aseo Urbano Domiciliario, the University of one of the main universities of Panama. Is a public university, Universidad Tecnológica de Panamá, and of course, Panama Flying Labs. Okay, I will talk about this project. This project in Spanish, the title is Los drones como una herramienta para la supervisión y el monitoreo del relleno sanitario de Cerro Patacón en la ciudad de Panamá. Drones as monitoring tools at Panama City's landfill. And as I told you previously, our partners were Autoridad de Aseo Urbano Domiciliario. And if you have asked me, I will try to translate in Panama. You should not translate the name of public entities, but it's the Panamanian Urban and Domestic Cleaning Authority. And these two amazing persons that you see here in the screen that I'm sharing, were two young engineers, very interested that say yes when we invite them to participate in a workshop. We create a workshop. We organized a workshop in alliance with We Robotics by October 2018. And this is how we start. We start with a very simple week of training. It was supposed to be like 2 days, but we have a lot of people very interested in participating, and we had 1 week of entire demos and co-creation workshops. We received more than 54 proposals, and this was like our first official training activity. And We received more than 54 international organizations, sorry, not including international, government, private companies, etc. And how we did it? We have in the morning, we have sessions. You can see part of the team there. In the afternoon, you can see here at the bottom of the screen, we have co-creation workshops with a couple of persons that start proposing their ideas. We received more than 76 ideas of pilot project proposals that will generate impact in social impact in different areas, development robotics, or humanitarian aids, agriculture, health, etc., etc. And I have to return. This team proposed a very interesting idea. They work, as I explained you, to the land. They are in charge of the management and monitoring of the landfill, and they used they had a drone. They already had a drone, and they used the drone just to take pictures and videos. And they propose to use the drones for the monitoring of all the landfill. And I will return back to the concept urban planning. When we talk about urban planning, we talk about management, a political and economical management of lands. And if you ask me if the landfill location is the best right now, well, no. At Panama City, we are about 1.2 million persons totally. And these numbers are not updated. These numbers are 11 years old, so are not updated. And we have 246 hectares for handling all the disposal of the entire city. These people are involved in the management of the garbage daily. And this area, you will see here, this is the landfill. I don't know if you are seeing my mouse. This is the landfill. And they used to walk all this area. For monitoring the areas, they use a lot of estimation of the information in order to take future decisions. Just to make a little review, our partner, it was the Autoridad ASEO, who they are. They are a public entity involved in a national commitment. They are part of the government. They are in charge of complying with the management of collection, treatment, and final disposal in the Panama district, and provide technical support to the municipalities nationwide. They are in charge of the waste management in the entire country. Okay, we made it, we decide, and we informed them that they were selected to lead this project. What was the challenge? As I explained you, there is only one sanitary landfill since a lot of decades ago to handle all the waste. And they use by foot, they used to walk and use normal cameras for monitoring, supervising the handling of the garbage. What they want to show that the use of drones for monitoring the landfill will be a great option, and that they can obtain faster results in less time, cost-efficient way, and also the capture of image for generating orthomosaics. Which were the outcomes? I will share with you some of the outcomes. Here you can find the orthomosaic and the digital surface model of the area. The total area you can find here, 246 hectares. What equipment we use? We use a simple equipment, a DJI Phantom Pro 2 with a normal sensor, an RGB camera. For capturing the data, we use the pics for the capture. For processing, we use the pics for the mapper. And for the special analysis, a little of RGS Pro and QGIS. That's what we did. Here you can find the two orthomosaics. These orthomosaics were generated by the engineers you saw at the very beginning of the presentation, two young engineers, two young Panamanian engineers. Which were the outcomes we were expecting? First of all, train the personnel to build capacity in the team of workers of the cleaning authority, so they can carry out their own flights for monitoring the landfill. The other output was to fly all the entire area, the 246 hectares, and to process and capture the data, but not flying labs to do the entire work. No, no, no. The idea was to train them so we can be with them during all the process so they can learn and understand how they will handle, which will be the workflow they will use from that moment on to obtain and improve their results. At the end is to improve their results. Here you see like the main technicals aspect of the work we did, the area, the equipment, the sensor, the camera, the software. We took a lot of image. It was like, it was one of our first challenge because we started in October. We made our first flight by December and we keep monitoring. We make a lot of missions because we have a lot of situation or challenge to face, as for example, some electrical lines, but that electrical lines are for the whole country. So you can imagine the amount of energy they generate. And it's not a good idea to have electrical lines where you're flying a drone because of the energy and the interference, etc. You lose telemetry. But it was very interesting since we start. Here, I can share with you some of the products, the output of the models already, the models that were generated at the lab with a team of experts. We generated a volume, we can calculate the volume of the area in the active stage of the landfill. And here, I don't know if you can see, this is the area. Everything at this hill is garbage, okay? It's waste. And before they have to take that decision if they will close or not, just by estimating the amount of waste they are throwing at that hill, at that area. And yes, you use a balance, you estimate, but there's a process where you have to compact the garbage. So we are talking in terms of weight, but also it's very important the volume. And now, after they obtained the orthomosaic, using other software, they were allowed to calculate, as you can see, the volume of the area. Sorry for the dogs barking. These are new products. They had never calculated previously in the area they have designated. This is a landfill. They have a lot of tires disposal. Well, for us in Panama is a lot. We are not too big. The entire country has 4 million of persons. And they calculate the amount of tires that they actually have there. Here is this area, how you will say, it's like a hole, this area is designated for recycling process. And you may see that, of course, they have not enough space for the recycling process, but they didn't know the area they were using for reducing the volume of the garbage either, or they do not know the amount. They all, as I told you previously, they have to estimate all the amounts by weight, but the volume at the end, they do not know the volume. And now with this tool, they can make a calculation, an easy way to calculate the amount and to recognize polygons or area of interest where they are doing their recycling process. Additional outputs they obtain from the orthomosaic. Here are the contour lines, the slope. They obtain the contour lines at the active stage of the landfill. How they work? They work with they have an active stage, and at the moment they reach the highest point, they decide to close. Now they have control lines to be monitoring how it's growing, and here they can I don't know the pronunciation of this word in English. In Spanish is lixiviados. The leachate flow, these all derivates, fluids that came out from the garbage when it started the process of getting this in this composition. I don't know how to say it. O se descompone. They start to identify the trail and route of these liquids or fluids that are very nocive or poison to the health. And they obtain the trails and route they identify, so they can take further decisions in how they will treat it, if they have to work a system, a pipeline system, so they can put it in they have like a pools where they have the lixiviado, the leachate. Here is one. So they have to take decisions because all the stages, the active stages at the end, have leachate flows. And this result, this third result, for me was the most impact result. They can monitor the informant settlement on the boundaries of the landfill. This is a landfill, and we have a lot of informant settlement at this area. There are communities that were nearby, and day by day they start to cross the boundaries. And they also come and make, as I explained you previously, informant settlement, and they also visit the landfill to obtain for their daily for the day by day. And it's interesting for them to monitor because they didn't know like the exact amount of informal settlement. They didn't have a way to see if they are crossing or not the boundary, because we are talking about health. We are talking about public health. And at the end, this is an area that is not suitable for living. And they make a lot of community engagement and campaigns in order to avoid this type of informal settlement. This is a small video of one of our first 3D models, and so you will find some spaces, but this is one of our first products, and we are very proud of what we did in alliance with them. This is a 3D model of the entire area, so they can have something to share, a video, a 3D model to share with all the entire collaborators of the authority. They are in charge of monitoring, but they hire a third party to do the garbage disposal. So with this tool, they can have like a better monitor of what's going on in their area of interest. We visited last year, and the area we were working and the first area we monitored, now it was closed, and they opened another area in the middle of the stage. Which were our achievements? They, as authority, as a public entity, now have a tool, use one, and they obtain 100%, not 100, but maybe a 75% of results of a new tool that they use to monitor the landfill. For us, this is a project that for sure can have scalability in other provinces of Panama. We obtain new key partners in the development of social projects in order to generate impact in Panama as a country. Very important, we build local capacity in the manpower of the local government. we demonstrate the power of local, and we contribute to the SDG 2030. For us, we are very happy to reach this type of achievement, and of course, for them, because they, as I explained you, they are in charge of monitoring how is the garbage disposal from north to south, east and west, all over the Panamanian country. Finally, this was one of our first pilot projects, and here is a team of the persons that collaborate in the development of this project. Flying Labs Panama, she's here hearing me today. Flying Labs Panama, the engineers from Autoridad de Aseo, the boss, and the Bit Lab. We received the Bit Lab visit to the project, and these are all the key partners that participate very actively in this pilot project of urban planning. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Dania. So for me, the key takeaways from your presentation was one, you talked about empowering the officials as well, that you don't want to continue doing it for them. You want them to learn it and do it. And I would like to ask you a little bit more about that. Can you detail it? I mean, did you actually give them a training? And if you gave them a training, what was the training about and what did they learn from that?
Yes, we trained them because as you know, you are from Flying Labs. We believe in the power of local, so we trained them. They used to have the drone. They had the drone, and what they do is they obtain photos and videos, and they load in the computer, and this is how they were monitoring. They think they were monitoring the landfill. And yes, they were monitoring. They were generating images. But what we offer them, so sorry, is the training. We train them we made 3 visits. The first one, we did the first sample of the whole project, and then we bring them and train them in our lab in the use of drones. As I explained you, it was a workshop where we select the 3 pilot projects. We group the 3 winners and we train them in the use of drones. We have equipment. Some of them brought their own equipment, and they were very excited, you can imagine. And we teach them how to use the drone, not only manually, but how to use the automated system, so they can they can create a mission, always taking in consideration the ethical and safety part. We teach them from the very beginning, you have to be certified, your drone have to be registered, which is the authority in charge in Panama of how to obtain the permissions, where every day that you are going to fly, you have to ask for authorization in advance and you have to call, a lot of details. We train them using the drone, and we train them in how to handle the data after you capture their data and at the moment that you are going to process your data, and to obtain basic results, the orthomosaic, for example.
So they also learn Pix4D tools like Pix4D and ArcGIS, basic of it?
They learn how to use the Pix4D capture and also how to use the Pix4D mapper for processing. We teach them how to use Pix4D mapper.
That's interesting, because this is something new. I mean, we've had so many presentations, but I think you're the only one who say that we taught our clients, and this is like cutting your business, but you also taught them so that they can do it themselves, which is great.
Because this is one of our main goals as Panama Flying Labs. One of our main goals everywhere we go is to empower the local, to empower our community at the end. We are working in other projects, and depending of the type, we say like, okay, we will be with you hand by hand, hand with hand, but at the end, we want you to understand how is the workflow, how you have to capture your data always safely and in an ethically way. because you have to respect the other persons.
Right.
Whenever you are flying a drone, you can capture a lot of information from not only the area of interest, but other areas.
Interesting. And so, how far have they taken the learning which you gave them to continue doing this work of planning and execution after you have trained them? Were they able to do it
Yes,
themselves?
yes, they do by themselves. It was interesting because they when they have any doubt, they just send us email, not emails, they WhatsApp us like, oh, we are facing problem with the drones, and we say, okay, come to the lab to see what's going on. This is a type of work we are willing to do. Like, okay, you have problems, come, and we can guide you. Okay, call this person; he can repair your drone, etc., etc. This is our work as Flying Labs.
Very nice. And the second thing interesting which you told, which was very different, was about the people who live at the margins of these landfills, the communities that are still living there, the illegal settlements that you have. What did you do about them?
Well, we were not. They are very dangerous communities,
Hmm.
and at the very beginning of the scope of the project, it was not included. But when we were analyzing the results,
Hmm.
when we were analyzing, we say like, oh, what's going on? And they say, no, we have to monitor. We have to talk with them. We didn't have the opportunity. We'd go with them to the community. Honestly, we didn't have that opportunity, or the scope of our project was not until that. But for them that are like the authority, for the engineers, it was a very interesting result, because this is how this is a this is information that they can share with the community. This is easy for them to explain. Like, you see here, here are the boundaries, and you are in the limit, you are in danger, because sometimes you have like
Very nice.
fires and all these type of emergencies due to the illegal settlement, and how they handle the garbage because of the leach sheets. I don't know, sorry. At this type, so they can use these tools, for example, the 3D model or the orthomosaic, to explain them all the danger they are exposed being in an illegal settlement inside the landfill.
Be quiet. Okay, I'm taking the class. Right.
Do I answer your question?
Great. Thanks, Dania. And can you hear my son in the background?
Yes, wonderful.
All right. Okay. Class, if you have any questions for Dania, please let us know. Yes, Mariam, please. Yes, Mariam, you can unmute. बेटा मेरी क्लास चल रही है.
Hello?
Hi, Mariam. You can please ask your question.
Hello? Hello, everybody. Hi to the class.
Hi.
I have a question regarding to the project sustainability. How do you make your project to be self-sustainable? Is it a grant-based organization or grant-based model, or you actually provide services that you charge for? And the second question will be, I have an idea of doing the same project in my own country, and I always deal with the problem of dealing with different stakeholders. So I would like to hear more about. At the beginning, nobody wants to trust you because it's a technological project and the data sharing is a problematic issue in some countries. And how did you deal with those challenges if you had one, of course?
Well,
And
thanks.
thank you, gracias por la presentación. And tu inglés es perfecto.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Well, our
Yeah.
business model, we start with a grant, and we start with a grant, and we have a budget. But this project, but for example, for this project,
Yes.
They have their own drone. So what we as lab, we contribute with the use of the software, the computer, etc., etc. And the training was for free. We didn't. This was part of what we of our donation,
Okay.
and because it's a grant, and it was one of the results we want to deliver of the
Mhm.
milestones. The business model we are actually using, you can imagine that with this pandemic, we have to change a little our business model.
I understand.
But what we do, we start with pilot projects
Okay.
to generate use case as evidence of the benefits you can obtain from the use of drones. Stakeholders. We made a lot of activities. We have for the last 2 years, we had the smart coffees. It's like 2 hours. The university, we are hosted by the university. Our lab is inside the university. So we have a campus, and we prepare once a month a smart coffee, and we invite a lot of people. We receive like 29 persons because we have just 29 seats, and we start talking and making ideas. At the end, we generate a community. What we charge? We charge for trainings, depending of the type of, if you are an enterprise, if you are a student, if you are an NGO, you have different tariffs or rates
Okay.
for training. And we also participate as advisors in the national projects. For example, I can tell you that last year we participated in an environmental impact study
Yes.
for a pipeline, a water pipeline that is, water is an issue everywhere you go, and we have water in both sides. But at the end, potable water is something everyone needs, and we participate in this type of like public projects. And the trainings are open to everyone. Right now we are trying to finish our new project that is gonna be, the name is Geonautas, and it's a training just for youth, um, but using the STEM methodology. And we try to be like sharing a lot of what we do so that people can trust in this type of equipment. They can identify them as a work tool, because here in Panama at the beginning was like a toy, but now they understand that it's a work tool, and to make them understand that it's not just about the drone, but it's about the person. It's about the
Yes.
pilot, and a lot of about the data you obtain and how you handle. And also when we start and we are going to visit the community, for example, we try to have community engagement, we to explain them what we are going to do, how we are going to do, and share the data.
Okay. Thank you very much for your generous answer.
You're welcome.
It was really helpful.
Okay, you're welcome.
And do you provide consultancy services abroad? Uh, is
Yes,
it possible?
yes, of course. Of course.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you. Dani, I'm talking about urban planning itself. You must be dealing with different sectors of a city. Now, for example, middle class, lower middle class, and even urban rich settlements. So, where else do you use your drones? For example, housing or roads or, as you said, water
We
resources.
we also use a, it was a health project, but it was totally urban, and at the end it involved planning. Uh, uh, we use it in a mosquito project
Mhm.
in a urban area. The public health authority, they used to make the inspections and the surveys walking, but we have a lot. We are in the tropical area. We are near the equator. We have a lot of mosquitoes here in Panama, but a lot. Everyone has in their family a mosquito, at least in Panama, a family of mosquitoes. It's part of the family. And at the end, you have to monitor this type of, of vector or disease. And at the end, what they did, we teach them how to use the drone so they can plan how they will do their work, and they monitor the entire village and communities at the main city. It was in the center of the city. So they can identify, for example, where are pools or area that need to have like most dedicated inspection. I don't know if I'm explaining. And we are more involved with eco robotics projects in the area of environmental. What we did was a training for in the use of drones for making survey and inspections in for vertical and horizontal constructions. But we gave the training in how to use the drone, how to process the data, etc., in alliance with S3 Panama.
Interesting. What are the challenges when you fly drones in a city, in a densely populated city?
We have a lot of challenge. Actually, we have a project that is in pause, in standby, because that we is an environmental, is a national park, but is in the middle of the city, is along for the city, is very important, but it has in one boundary it has an airport. So you can imagine. I should not tell you the rest. We were trying to decide what equipment to use, if either an EBX or a Phantom, and at the end, we made an alliance with the people of Wintra One. I don't know if you have heard about this type of equipment. It's an hybrid equipment. It's a VTOL, vertical takeoff, and the plan was to monitor this park using this equipment to generate the use case, the first one using this equipment in Panama, because we have a lot of challenge in using the equipment if we are aside or near. It's like a boundary with the airport. It is a challenge, a very challenge mission, and you have a lot of roads nearby, so a lot of traffic. The persons at the park also, but what worries us a lot is the airport, actually, because it's an area where the airplanes take off and land. It has a lot of traffic, and it's the domestic traffic. So we have more than 5 or 6 flights per day. This is a big challenge for us.
So what did you do about it? I mean, what are you planning to do? How are you planning to do it?
No, we made a sample mission of 21 hectares with the Phantom, and we made like 3 or 4 different flight plans, and we share it. We discuss it with the in charge of the civil aviation authorization, Aeronáutica Civil. We have good relations with them. We work with them very closely, and we exchange. It was a back and forth. One day before the mission, they say like no, and we had the permission like 2 weeks ago, and they say like no, and at the end we did it because we start like we discuss it and we change some details. But I'm telling you, we start like 3 weeks before to make the sample. We make studies about using either a fixed wing or a quad rotors, etc., etc., etc. So it's a lot of planning in advance, huh? Taking decisions in advance, and we did. Now we are not authorized at Panama. We are activating our economy blocks by blocks, and this block we haven't reached this block yet, so we have no opportunity to make our to face that challenge once again. But we identified that with this equipment, we can obtain a use case and make our first flight of the Metropolitan Park.
Interesting. Because here, the rules which are at least on paper, they mention that you cannot fly near the airports at all. And even in densely populated cities like Mumbai, it's always a challenge. We always have to get special permissions and then do it. That's the only way that we go about. What about the power lines or the telecom towers that you see? Do they interfere with your work? Because I think it's too
Yes,
dense in cities.
yes, it interferes. We have good experience with them, so maybe you can understand. We when we made one of the initial flights at the landfill, the name is Cerro Patacon in Spanish. But this is the name of it. It's like the urban name or the you know. Uh, we make one flight where we received no images. We didn't know where was the drone. We were activating like home, and we start praying, and at the end it returns because it's very important to settle home before you take off. You know it, and it returns. But we obtain no images, and that was that area, precisely that area. And at the end, we obtain the images, we make some changes. But when you see the images, some of them are have like noise. The image have some noise, and there were other areas where you lose telemetry. And talking with the people, they say like, "Ah, no, if the drone is at that area, here we have no cell phone signal." So there are areas where you have like. Shadows, and you lose the telemetry, etc., etc. But at the end, we capture the images. These were some of the challenges we faced, and why we dedicate like 1 week for the flights, because you have to have the daylight and the moment change of batteries. There you have no energy. You have to go back, and you have some challenges at the missions, but it was done.
What about high towers interfering with your signals, your signals that you have? Like telecommunication signals
The,
can interfere with your signals. You spoke about the shadow areas. So what about interference? For example, can they cause any other disruption? Like you were mentioning about electromagnetic signals from there, which can cause disruption in the drone network.
Oh, we faced a loss of telemetry. We were affected by the image, as I told you, but shadows, I'm referring to spaces that you do not have like all the satellites and the triangulation you need to have, and you lose the signal. We lose the signal, but at the end, the equipment started like iterating, and it returns. The images, it has some interference. They were like moved, and if you ask me honestly, I don't know if because it was a coincidence that there were the lines, the electrical lines, but we didn't know if it were the lines, because what we decided was to fly a little higher
Hmm.
uh, at that area to avoid the interference. But even there were a little move, so we didn't know if it was a gust, for example, or it was because of the lines, of the electrical lines.
Interesting. And about how many teams do you have, and how do you organize your teams when you're working in cities?
Well, we work with a lot of volunteers of the university, because mainly at the Panama Flying Labs we have the director. He's a doctor in robotics, and then our our team are our main team are 5 persons, three ladies, the two pilots are ladies, and the administrative, the person in charge of the administrative, but she also learned how to pilot the drone. She's not certified. And then we have a special data analyst, uh, and he's an airplane pilot. And then we have a student. He's finalizing the mechanical engineering, and we have She is here at the training, Anna. She is pilot and she is an aeronautical engineer. We are the two pilots. And most of the time, since the last year, she's in charge of the flights.
Interesting.
We are five. We are five. And then a lot of volunteers that are like the spotters. We take them as spotters and they do a lot of handling of the data because we train them, of course. And they are learning. They all of them know how to use a drone because this is the most interesting part.
Right. And what about, your processes like maintaining flight logs and maintaining your data and recording them because you have so many volunteers with you. How do you organize that kind of a part, the processes?
Well, it depends. We announce the project in our WhatsApp group, and we ask for volunteers. We settle meetings, we explain the project, and when they start, they continue with us since we start until we end. They have an agreement with us as being part of the Flying Labs. They understand that they sign a confidentiality agreement because we are handling data. And we try to keep them motivated with trainings, with cool activities, um, you know, pizza sessions or something like that. And they love that because we go to very interesting areas. We had a project where we monitor turtles with the thermal camera. So who doesn't want to go to the beach to monitor turtles? It was an amazing experience. Or we went for agriculture projects at a very beautiful province in Panama, and we take them with us as part of the team.
Interesting.
So we organize. Yes.
Nice, yeah. So much for me to learn from you. Thanks, thanks, thanks. So, are there more questions coming in from the classmates?
Okay.
Mariam is asking the drones that photographers use for their videos, etc. How different is it? Um, Mariam, it's almost the same drone that the photographers use for different events, but just that we use them differently. So, right, Dania? She's asking about the
The,
drones for event videos that you see photographers taking. Are we
ah,
using
they
similar
took
kind of
they
drones or we
use
more?
they use this one. Some of them use the Phantom.
Hmm.
To give you examples, huh? Other they use the Inspire. I don't know if you have heard about the Inspire. Is another what rotor? It's not a. It's a multicopter, but I don't remember how much rotors it had. The Inspire they use a lot, and also the Matrix. They use a lot, but more the Inspire because the Inspire and the Matrix at the end they how do you say the the basement they have the
The
legs
landing gear.
they they take it up so you have no interference for having and if you are interested in videos and multimedia these other type of drones like the Inspire or either the Matrix the cameras has better resolution and they have zoom. So for the type of activity you want to do, like depending of the professionalism of the images for video, these other equipments are also very used. But I know a lot of the TV channels here in Panama, they use the Phantom. All of
Hmm.
them have at least one Phantom in the fleet they have of drones.
Interesting. So what I can add to that, Mariam, do you remember we had the first or the second session when somebody classified about the type of drones? So there were one which were hobby drones where you and I or anybody can buy. First are the educational drones, then are the hobby drones, and then come the mapping drones and the survey drones, and then industrial kind of drones for different applications, and even the defense drones. So each drone would have a different application. Obviously, the same drone won't work, but again, depending upon the quality of the images that you want to provide, Inspire can do great photography, but it can also do great mapping, right?
Yes.
So it's about the quality of the image that you get from that kind of a drone. So it all depends on the application that you want. Ananta is asking about the sensors and instruments used to measure and capture the landscape. Is it a live telemetry variety?
What was the sensor we used?
Yeah.
No, we used a RGB camera. In this project, we use the RGB camera. But for example, the project of the Metropolitan Park, we are planning to use a multispectral
Multispectral.
sensor. Yes,
Great.
because it's a park, and the results we want to deliver the customer, the client, is about health, vegetation, health, the vegetation health.
True. So, also answering a couple of questions here in this group, learning to fly drones is not difficult. And most of the countries have their regulations around licensing. So you can find out what your country has and you can follow that. I can talk for India that Indian regulations are still getting formed, but so far the regulations say that you have to take your training from a recognized flight training organization, and then you have to apply for a license on the digital sky platform. So that's a current method. And yes, we will be organizing brain pilot trainings in partnership with our institutes, and we will let you know when that happens. All right. So I guess let's come to curious about drone opportunities in shipping. Okay. We want to know about other what kind of drone opportunities can shipping provide? You've also been into shipping, right?
Yes. You are asking about the shipping and the drones, right?
Yes.
Right now, they are using, I know, the chips need to be inspected regularly.
Hmm.
Regularly, because of the documentations, they have to be certified, and you have a lot of inspections that you have to do to the equipment. And some areas are confined spaces where you can use the drones. The drones will have special gadgets or additional equipment to protect the equipment, and you can go to that confined areas and inspect the area with the drones. For example, if you want to inspect the outer area of the drone, talking about the hook and the infrastructure of the drone, you can also make the inspection. It's a vertical and horizontal inspection using the drone. But when you are using the drone in these type of equipments that are from steel, you have to make some change, and maybe you will have to use it manually or make some special maneuvers for the takeoff, because these are a lot of interference because of the steel and the electromagnetism. So you have to take in considerations
Hmm.
previous using the equipment, but they use, I know people that use the drones for inspecting the equipments, and in some countries from Europe, for example, they are using regularly the drones to
Hmm.
develop this type of inspections as surveyors. They are surveyors, and this gave this type of service using the drones.
I have also seen drones used for shipping yards. So where you have the
Ah, yeah, yeah.
yards.
Yes, I was yes. You use that, for what? You have to give sandblasting treatment,
Mm-hmm.
because in India you have a lot of shipyards, yeah, right? And I used to work in one. Uh, you use drones. It's not drones, but also are like robots for sandblasting, because the sandblasting is a very abrasive process, and in terms of health, of human of manpower health, at the end you have to use a lot of mass, because it's very very difficult to work with it, depending on the type
Hmm.
of sandblasting that you have to give. If you have to peel everything, it's a lot of dust that you will have, and it comes inside your lungs, and so they use robots for sandblasting. This is another use of the robots that are non these type of equipment for the sandblasting. I have seen them using. We didn't have the opportunity to use when I used to work here at the shipyard.
Hmm.
We were just like using just like the Phantom to make some videos, but it was a very interesting next step for the shipyards here in Panama.
Yeah. And even security surveillance probably.
Yes, in terms of surveillance in the ports, they are using, and I know there was a project that is, well, talking about agency service. Here is the Panama Canal. and you have to deliver a lot of documentations. And every time you pay a launch service, a boat is about $600 or $400 per hour. So it's a lot of money because you can use at least 2 hours to go and return. And they were exploring the use of drones, not in Panama, but I know there were some projects at Europe also to use the drones to make deliveries. So the agents can have the drone to send like envelopes and documents, because sometimes you just need to use the launch to deliver one document. That is the authorization to go out.
Right.
And also in the ports to have the track of containers. You know, the containers are peeled up.
Yes.
And you can use also drones for safety. But there is a code that is about ISPAs against piracy. You remember when the event of September 11/11? There starts some international regulation in the maritime sector. So I don't know how they introduce the drones, but I know that some ports consider them also for surveillance.
Great. Thanks. So I guess that's for the questions for you. And I would like to really thank you, Dania, for coming here and sharing your experiences so generously and your learning, and it's been extremely useful. Thank you so much for that.
Thanks a lot for hearing me. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Ruchi.
So everyone, will see you tomorrow, same time. So till then, good night. Bye, Dania.
Night. Bye bye.